that was epic. At any rate, we'll try that again. My name's Dr. Cordy Williams, hashtag Megaphone Marine, hashtag 1776 Forever Free. That was certainly worth the wait. Welcome to another amazing week here with the Recall Gavin Town Hall. Got a great panel of people tonight. I think it's so fitting as we've gone on this journey months now. It seems like a year, but I think it's only been like 7 months. You start to forget, or I know I do when I'm asked all the time, well, why do you want the governor recalled? And then you hear about all the different draconian bills under his leadership that have come through on top of everything else with the state that's going wrong. But we're going to get some updates tonight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. What I want to do is turn it over to the lead proponent, the godfather of the recall, Orrin Heatley. Go ahead, beautiful man.
I keep getting elevated to higher and higher positions. I am now the godfather of the recall. God bless you, Cordy. And yeah, we have a good friend of mine on tonight that is going to talk about a lot of things regarding the bail industry and the justice reform and all that good stuff that has led to the cesspool we now live in, the California dreaming. And I just want to say, God bless everybody. We are transitioning into phase 2. So we all knew, this is a phase 1. Recall Governor Gavin Newsom, gather all the signatures that we need to make it to the ballot. And then once that qualifies for a special election, then we take that and we run with it and we make sure that all of the work that we've invested in from June 10th last year to now it pays off. And what that means is that we have to, spread the word. There's a lot of people out there that still don't, they're uninformed voters, they're uninformed citizens of our state, and they need to be made aware of why we're doing what we're doing, what it involves. The media has done an amazing job to hijack our messaging and to drive it towards a couple of different talking points. Number one, they want to paint us with a broad brush, and they want to pull us all under the Trump umbrella, that we're all, right-wing, white supremacists, racist. Here you have a white, middle-aged, wealthy politician who is playing the race card. How the hell that happens, I have no idea. But here you have, he couldn't be a whiter politician. He couldn't be more entrenched with the political elitists, and he's trying to paint us as political extremists. Everybody from the entire political spectrum has come to work on this recall. We have people from all walks of life, all cultures, races, ethnicities, and any mix in between that have come from the far left to the far right, and everybody in between to get this done to where we are today. Okay, they can't ignore that. And that is what frightens them the most, is because they know their false narrative doesn't ring the bell in the populace. It's being ignored widely by the media, but then they paint, another brush, and they're like, okay, well, it's all about his management of the COVID, but the COVID's going away.
Yeah,
no, it has nothing to do with COVID. It has nothing to do with his visit to the French Laundry. These are all false narratives that we just need to brush aside. I can make a viable case to recall this governor without mentioning COVID, vaccines, masks, or his visit to the French Laundry. It has nothing to do with that. This is all about his mismanagement of our state resources, his failed governorship, the people in our state who are truly suffering because of the policies that he's put in place and the policies that he champions. Open borders, sanctuary state, Prop 47. I know he is not directly responsible for Prop 47, but Topo can talk to us a little bit later about the reorganization of the prison systems, the reformation of our judicial system, and how that has had a negative effect on our economy, on our population, and on the people that live here in California. AB 5, SB 145 that we heard in the pregame show. These are all things that people just truly, that, you know, it gets lost in the narrative that this is about white supremacist, you know, movement. This is a Trump movement. This is a right-wing extremist movement. This is about the COVID mismanagement. This is about his visit to the French Laundry. Bullshit. It doesn't ring the bell. Okay, I'm sorry. That's a false narrative, and we're not going to let you push that on us, Governor, or any of his minions that he's hired. He has hired, and Mike is going to talk about this later. Randy's going to talk about this, but he has hired some henchmen to paint us in a negative light. They're doing their best, but they keep throwing stuff at the wall, and none of it sticks. And that's what has them frightened the most. This is a people's movement where the parties have let us down and the politicians have failed us. And we're taking California back. Business as usual and politics as you once knew it in California are over and done with starting today.
I love that. I love that you said that, Orrin. And, you know, it's really interesting. I mean, whenever, you know, there's so much in this country, and this isn't a Republican or Democratic thing, but when somebody doesn't agree with something, they just silence you or they just lie about it. And it's really appalling and really disgusting. So my good friend, my next friend, another handsome devil that happens to be wearing glasses occasionally. Some people know him in other circles as Netters, but his name is Mike Netter. And go ahead and take the floor. Another one of the beautiful leaders and generals, although we know the ladies really run the whole show here. Go ahead, Mikey.
Isn't it fascinating what Orrin talked about with broad strokes and less specifics? And it was interesting watching the Sacramento Bee press conference today, which kind of had both sides on there. And their response was, one of the questions was, well, when do you think the best time for the recall election is going to come? Which I thought was good. There's acceptance that there's going to be a recall election. And the reply is, we don't know, but we sure need to make sure that the Democrats get out and vote against this broad stroke movement. Let's talk some specifics here, which the press doesn't report on. This isn't about the extreme right again, or the extreme left, or philosophical things that they try to bring up. This is about some real specifics. We try to talk about them on the Friday Night Radio show, but I want to spend a few seconds here and remind everybody of everything. Gavin did mention one kind of specific, that he's kind of sort of reopening the state on June 15th. He didn't really mention the fact that he's been challenged in court that he probably didn't have the right to close the state to begin with. And in fact, specifically, the court case by Kiley and Gallagher, we're having Gallagher on this Friday night, still has been ruled against Gavin. That doesn't get mentioned. Specifically, it's very fascinating that unemployment in California has dropped slightly, but the amount of money going out through EDD has gone up, meaning that the fraud is still continuing. But specifically, Gavin Newsom doesn't address that, and neither do the Democrats. They can't seem to come to grasp with the fact that things in the state are broken. Specifically, it isn't talked about, and I find that rather strange that his king Gavin has decided that he's going to let us out to roam the streets, maybe it will, on June 15th, but just as little as 60 days ago, and it's still pending, he's requested emergency procurement powers for another year. So Gavin, I'm a little confused, and Orrin or Randy or somebody asked a question the other night. Does this mean emergencies is over? No, I think it means that his Gavinness is going to let the peasants roam the streets a little bit while he continues to consolidate power. These are the specific things which need to be addressed, which we need to make sure get addressed in this debate. And something else specifically which needs to be addressed is this. Let's face it, the left is going to raise a lot of money. And we were told to begin with that if we didn't raise a huge amount of money, there was no way this recall is getting on the ballot. What are they saying now? The reality is we can make the amount of money that we have go a very long way, and we need to continue to fund our fight. This isn't a money call, but I want everybody out there to understand something. That's what it seems the newspapers spend a lot of time reporting on, doesn't it? They report, wow, we know the recall is going to make the ballot. What should we talk about now? Well, we don't want to talk about the issues. Who would care about that? Why don't we talk about money raised like it's a game of Jeopardy with our lives? Let me tell you something. I know that they're going to outraise us, but we're going to outdo them. And that's what we have to do over the next 4 months. Robin's going to announce some exciting stuff that we're doing tonight in the way of getting the word out. But the scoreboard is, threw that in for you, Oren, is that it's getting on the ballot. And the scoreboard is, we will be behind in money raising, but we're going to be victorious because of the people. It's the people of California, right and left, that are making this happen. And I really challenge Gavin Newsom, and I know somebody's watching the replays of this because they find the little clips, etc. Gavin, get out there and talk to the people. Don't debate the other Democrats and Republicans in a controlled environment, but answer the questions that we're asking, like we showed in the video earlier. Okay, the recall is going to be on the ballot. Answer to the EDD, answer to the vaccine crisis, answer to the scandals that are brewing on you behind the scenes, answer about the nursing homes I didn't even get to yet. Answer the people, Gavin, on
nursing homes. What nursing homes?
Well, there's a whole interesting thing out here. Not only that the state paid more money to put in nursing homes, but one of the things that's rather fascinating is California is one of the easiest states to have control of nursing homes ever, which is why our death rate's higher. And it's very hard to get your license pulled and very easy to get certified. We're going to do a radio show on that fairly soon, but it's fascinating in California, just like New York, kind of, sort of, but we're actually worse. The way that we structure it, and the fact the Attorney General and the Governor of California do not step in and do something about nursing homes where people die, where we send our elderly, is a scandal amongst itself. There's a lot going on, but our government in California doesn't want to address it. Back to you, Cordy.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating, Mike. I'm glad you said that because, there's so much attention on New York, but nobody's focusing on what Gavin, also known as White Crest Strips, what he's been doing with killing our elderly. And, it's just like the people committing suicide because of this situation with COVID and all that. And, they're not talking about the elderly enough, people's grandmas and their loved ones dying, being killed by the governor. So at any rate, before we go to Miss Susan, and then this amazing man with a guitar and this beautiful beer rack behind him, I want to go ahead and go to you, Miss Robin McCrae. Go ahead, gorgeous. You got the floor.
Cordy. Hi, everybody. We're pretty excited because we've been working the last week and a half really diligently to get our new visibility up and running. And what we mean by that is we want to shock and awe California and all these naysayers. And the way we can do that is with our awesome team of volunteers. We're to this day getting, calls, emails, texts. Our people are chomping at the bit to carry on into phase 2. So just wanted to let everyone know that between Susan, Oren, Mike, and I, the last few days have been spent finalizing our graphics, getting bids, doing our market analysis, and we're hoping within the next 7 to 10 days, we hope we'll have everything shipped to 6 key locations throughout the state. And that's where our volunteer teams, our regional managers, they're going to be contacted. We'll have an exciting call this coming Tuesday, and we are going to talk about how all of us are going to pull together and be visible throughout California with flags, lawn signs. We have the banners if people want to set up their petition booths to market these, and we're doing that through donations. So it is going to be really fun. It's going to be really exciting. People are going to be able to make a donation to help us carry through and be successful with phase 2 and the special election. And for that donation, they are going to receive a variety of products in exchange. So we're really excited about that. And we will have more news and more information for our volunteer team come Tuesday night on our calls, and we will ramp those up again. So that's our key.
So what I'm hearing, Robin, is this coming Tuesday,
Yes,
we are reestablishing our Tuesday night volunteer call training sessions, and it's all hands on deck.
all
So
hands
this
on
is
deck.
this is when the work begins, folks. Everything you guys have done over the last umpteen months from June 10th to now is all paid off. We are where we are because of what you did. But now we have to secure the success of our future, and we have to bring everybody back to the table. We took a couple of weeks off to give everybody needed a break. They needed a hiatus. We needed that Easter break in our lives to just kind of refocus and reinvigorate, reload, and come back to the battlefield with energy and fighting strength. We're there now. And Susan and Robin are going to be sending out messages to the volunteers. If folks want to volunteer, they can contact us at info@recallgavin2020.com. Put volunteer in the subject matter, and then put your name and address and info down in there, and then we'll contact you. But as we go forward, God bless you guys. We are moving ahead, phase 2, and then phase 3, phase 4. This is leapfrog politics. We're taking the momentum that we gained here with this recall, and we're going to apply it to other avenues within our state. And we're going to branch out, and we're going to set some things right. Gavin Newsom said some things that were correct. And he said, this is an attack on the progressive movement. This is an attack on the Democrat values. Well, I'll tell you what, if the highest taxes in the nation, if the highest homeless rate in the nation, if stealing our tax dollars and redirecting them for other purposes that they weren't intended for, like the gas tax funds to the bullet train, is your Democrat values, the lowest quality of life we've ever experienced in California is the Democrat values, the highest homeless rate in California is your values, then yeah, those values are under attack.
Cordy, I want to roll with something
ahead.
that Robin
Go ahead,
said
Mike.
very quick. Orin made it sound like we were on a beach for the last 2 weeks. That's not exactly true. Sorry, Orin. But here's the reality. The merchandise that we've come up with, and I know everybody's anxious for it, and there's other groups, as you've seen, Reform California might be one of them, not that I wouldn't mention them by name. That's Reform, who's selling things like yard signs and other things about Recall Gavin. You're going to find that what Robin, Susan, Orrin, and myself have come up with are donation price points that are literally going to make the volunteers proud and make them affordable. I want to throw that in. So there's a little bit more. I know everybody's anxious, like get it up and get it running. But as we've always said in this campaign, we're doing it the right way. So we make best use of everyone's dollars. So we have to get the word out, and we have to do it in the most cost efficient way possible. And I want to stress that because we have to do something about California. I believe it's time for Sue.
All right, Miss Susan, you got it, young lady. You got the floor.
You know, I just want to comment on Orrin's comment that how hard the volunteers and everyone has worked since June 10th. So many of us have worked way before June 10th when the other efforts to recall Newsom were in the works, but they failed. They got what, 300,000 signatures, and one
lead proponent didn't even turn in any signatures. So our volunteers hit the ground running, most of them with a lot of prior experience. And we got this done. So the volunteers may have had a rest for a couple of weeks, but behind the scenes, we've still been at it almost 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day. Getting texts from Orrin Heatley in the middle of the night, which is why you have to put your phone on do not disturb. Anyway, we've been staying in contact with our volunteers. They're all eager to get moving on the second phase, and I appreciate everybody standing by and waiting, but we're just about to get this second phase rolling, and we're eager and excited.
Join us Tuesday night.
Emails will be going out.
It's invitation only.
You can join us Friday night in the radio, and anybody can listen.
And they can call in 1-800
222
5222.
And remember, when we talk about these subjects in depth, because we cover a lot in the town hall, meant to be more for the center group, if you will, that's where we try to make each of the weeks on the radio, again, a paid for by listener show, so thank you very much, in depth on some of these subjects, because as Topo is going to cover in a lot in a couple minutes of this one specific, there's a lot wrong with California specifically, and we want to help get it fixed.
Mike, Orrin, did you let our audience know how they could donate to our recall?
No, why don't you go ahead and fill them in?
Gee, Susan, tell about the knives.
What?
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. We're
Look,
walking in from
Call Gavin2020.com and look for the donate button. We're not done. We have a lot of work to do to get this to the ballot and to reach out to everybody out there to let them know that they need to sign. When the ballot comes to them, they're going to ask one, do you want to recall this governor? And you have to write yes. And then they're going to ask for who you wish to replace him. But to get to that point, which is probably going to be late October, we got a lot of work to do, and it's going to take a lot of funds. So if you have $5, $10, $100, any amount helps. Please go to recallgavin2020.com, look for the donate button, and help us out.
We are in a true battle between good and evil.
Yep.
Every fight requires funding, and right now evil has the upper hand in funding. This is a battle between David and Goliath. I don't know when or where or how the people in this state or in this nation became the underdog, but we're stepping up. We are no longer the underdog. We are the government. This is of the people, by the people, for the people. That is not a cliche. That is our marching orders, folks. We need your help to fund the fight. Go to recallgavin2020.com, click on the donate tab, donate whatever you can. Every donation helps. It doesn't matter how great or how small you might think it is. It's huge to us.
Praise God. Well, you guys are amazing. And I, I've been involved, but, I didn't do the long day sweating and sitting at a booth for 9 hours at a time. So for everybody out there and everybody on this panel, you guys are heroes and you guys are unbelievable. So, so our special guest, which I don't know you, sir, but, oh my goodness, those amazing racks behind you. And that guitar, as we say in Alabama, there's a major bromance going on already. It might be one-sided, but that's okay. Topo, is that your last name? That's really cool.
No, Topo Padilla.
Yeah,
he's a good friend of mine. And
Okay.
Topo and I have shared campsites. We've hunted together. And Topo is a bail bondsman. He's been a bounty hunter for what, 35 years, Topo?
No, 38 now.
He's got a cool
38
name.
years. God bless you, my friend. And Topo has his, he has been affected like nobody else by this government, this governor's decisions, his policies, and the elimination of the bail process in our state. Bail is a guaranteed right by the Constitution. Topo, talk about what's going on.
Well, I want to start by thanking each and every one of you, from Cordy to Mike to Robin to Susan and to you, Orrin. The sacrifices that we all take as we fight for our great state. Because see, I'm one of those people, I'm not leaving. I'm not going to Texas. I'm not going to Tennessee. Talked to Kevin Kiley yesterday and I says, hey, brother, I'm in this for the long haul with you, and we're going to fight to save this state. I want to thank you guys for the sacrifices you have had, taken away from your families, taken away from your friends, on Friday nights, not going out with your friends and having something going on. And, you know, a lot of people take that for granted, but I want to thank you as a citizen for my family. I've lived in this state for 56 years, lived on the same street for 55, and I'm not running. I'm a patriot like all of you. What you said in the beginning, Orrin, and others have said, we're not crazy. We're not right-wing extremists. We are not these people they make us out to be. The one thing I will give the Democrats credit for is they are fantastic 3D chess players, and they know they can destroy us by, you know, throwing grenades over there and fire bombs over there and getting people distracted. Because as my lobbyist always says, people get affected by shiny things so easy. Some shiny thing goes away and they forget about the subject matter, what they're talking about. I will say this, I'm very involved with gun owners of California, and then I'll get to bail, but I want to say a few things. It was about 2 years ago. Well, when you guys started the original Recall Gavin Newsom, I was doing an event down in Vacaville, about 250 people, and they're passing around the Recall Newsom things. And I said, hey folks, look, I realize everybody here is upset at Gavin Newsom, but I want to show you what the problem is we have in California and across this country for that matter. I said, how many of you voted no on Proposition 6, the gas tax? And more than 85% of that room raised their hands. I said, put your hands down now. I don't want to embarrass you. I said, if you voted no on that proposition, you voted to keep the gas tax. And the problem we have in this state and across this country is our voters aren't educated. And it's not because they're dumb. It's not because they don't read. It's because of the bait and switch. And California, my wife said, if Gavin Newsom ever becomes governor, we're leaving California. Well, we're still here. She hasn't gotten her way on that yet. But the bottom line is our voters, the way people advertise and market, I'm very much into marketing, and I look forward to helping you guys with that end of things, is that people, shiny things go flying by and they forget about the reality of what we're faced with. So I thank you for indulging me on that. I will say this about this governor, what this governor has done. I got to give Jerry Brown some credit. He did hold a line on way too progressive things, and the legislators didn't introduce crazy bills. But if you look at what this governor has emboldened some legislators to do to pass bills through committees so far, and if you look at a bill, I got a new bill about sheriffs, SB 271, that says you no longer have to be law enforcement. You don't have to be post-certified. You don't have to be a sheriff. You've never had to serve in a law enforcement thing. If this becomes law, anybody, me, any one of you, except, you know, I mean, Orrin as well, could run for sheriff of a county and run a law enforcement agency, and you've never been a cop. That is ridiculous, but he has emboldened these progressive, crazy legislators down there to do this kind of crap. And then you look at what he did right now. The other day, I was watching a bill about bail. I was watching about SB 262. And in that hearing, in the Senate hearing, public safety, I watched the great Senator Melissa Melendez get up with SB 350 and talk about the fact that if somebody sells a fentanyl pill that has been created in China or somewhere else, not one that's been stolen out of a medicine cabinet, but if somebody sells one of those and is caught and is convicted, and they are given a warning that if you ever sell one of these and somebody dies from it, you can be charged with murder. And then I watched her march up about 75 people to hold up signs of their children that have died from these illegally created fentanyl pills and all these prescription pills. And I'm thinking, gosh, I wonder why she had that many people come up in front of public safety to have to show the pictures of their children that had died because of these pills. And I was like, I was a little overkill, but okay. That bill died in that committee. It died in that committee. What a disgusting tragedy. But it is because of him, it is because of Gavin Newsom and he's emboldened these legislators to go that far out on a limb. So I appreciate you letting me you vent, and I wrote a bunch of notes down here that I won't cover most of them because I could be on here for an hour with you guys. But thank you, because as Orrin and Cordy said, this isn't so much about the things that we are right in front of us. This is about the nuts and bolts about this guy. That I know people who knew him when he was the lieutenant governor. And he said he is the laziest guy they've ever run into, that they've ever been around. When they worked at the Capitol, he wouldn't show up for work half the time. He is doing this for the ego, to be the governor. And gosh only knows what he's looking at next. Obviously, maybe him and Kamala want to team up. But the bottom line is, and the fact of the matter is that we've got to stop this guy. He is the true definition of a narcissist. He's an extremist. He will do anything and everything to get elected, not to do a good, effective things for our state, but for him and the money that was in that video. That was a powerful video. You guys played at the beginning. And if we could play that and continue to play that across the state, people will get the message, and shiny things won't distract them. So thank you very much for letting me get that out. So with that said, I'll go on and talk about bail momentarily. And if there's any questions, I'd certainly would like to answer them. Again, I've been a bail bondsman for 38 years. My dad is Greg Padilla. My uncle is Leonard, the guy in the cowboy hat that used to try and make change, and people thought he was crazy, but been in the business for 38 years. And as a bail bondsman, people think, oh, we're just letting bad guys out of jail. That's our job. We're letting bad guys out of jail. And then, why would people like Orrin, who's a law enforcement officer, and judges and district attorneys even consider sitting in the same room with me? I had lunch with the great Sheriff John DeAugustini today, and he certainly wouldn't have lunch with me if I was a guy letting bad guys out of jail. That's not my job. My job is to help people exercise their constitutional right to bail out of jail should they be arrested. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I pray to the good Lord you would want that right. As I always say, when someone's arrested, they're arrested by a government agency. They're housed in a government building. They're charged by a government agency. They go to court in a building run and operated by government. And when I say government, it's / taxpayers. So make sure I always say that. Just as I say government, it's / taxpayers. And then there's a judge up there in a black robe who's paid for by the government, taxpayers. And then in Sacramento County, just to let you know, 85% of the people that are up on criminal charges in Sacramento, this is their statistic here, are represented by taxpayer-funded lawyers. So where do I go with all this? We are the only entity in this whole entire criminal justice system that sits in a position we're not controlled by the government, not run by the government. And if somebody is arrested for the most heinous crime or for the lowest level crime, and they're not released by a judge, the person can exercise their constitutional right to bail out of jail. They can call me. I can get them out of jail. I'm going to make sure they go to court. That's my job. I'm going to make sure they go to court. And if they don't go to court, I will chase them far and in places that you wouldn't imagine. I will chase them at no cost to the taxpayers, and I will return them back to court. That's our job in this bail industry. And a lot of people think of, Dog the Bounty Hunter and Beth and those guys. And they're very, very good friends of mine, really, really good people. That obviously has a lot to do with Hollywood and what you see there, but it was a real show. I've filmed with them many times. I've been on their show. I never let that Hollywood thing get in my way. I wanted to show them what we really did. So the bottom line is that's what people think of us, shiny things. The reality is I wear a suit and tie to work every day. I didn't put this on to come and appear in front of you folks. I wear this every day. I am part of this criminal justice system. We're a serious part of this thing. And it was about 5 or 6 years ago, the attack started on us, and they said, the bail industry takes money from poor people. We affect the minority community and people of color more than any other group of people. And we are just bad people, and we're taking homes. People are losing their jobs. They're losing their families, and they're losing their houses. because of the bail industry. I don't arrest people. I didn't arrest them. The cops do not walk out on the streets and go, there's someone of color. I'm going to go fill my quota and I'm going to go arrest them. I take great offense to that. People like Orrin Heatley, who did his job with integrity and is a furthest thing from a racist human being. I've been around that man a lot of times. I've been around campfires. And we've talked very openly. And anybody who says that man's a racist, I got to tell you, there's very few triggers I have in my world, in my life. Somebody ever refers to me as a racist, it will be a trigger because I am the furthest thing from that. I love all mankind. This party and the people on this call, we are truly about people and every person. We are truly about them. We want to help everybody. Not one of us cares what religion, what color, what race you are. We want to help everybody. And when I see those homeless people in downtown Sacramento every day, I truly want to stop. I truly want to pick them up. But I know one thing, I'm getting a little sidetracked again. I would truly know one thing. Unless you give those people help with their mental illness, help with their substance abuse, you can give them my house and it ain't going to fix them. But when we fix them, when we fix that mental illness, when we fix that substance abuse problem, we probably won't have to give them a house. Their families will take them back in. I told Daryl Steinberg, I used to refer to him as Mayor Steinberg, I don't anymore. I told Daryl Steinberg that one day in an airport. He says, Topo, it's much more complex than that. And I said, no, it isn't. You just don't want to face the truth. You want to throw $1 million at tiny houses and you think you've been a good guy, Charlie, and giving them these tents and these yellow blankets over their tents. That's crap. We have to help them with that. So back to bail bonds and me. I apologize. Every once in a while I get on a tangent. But what they've tried to do and what they want to do is they want to extinguish our industry. And I was part of an effort, which you all are doing with Proposition 25. 2 bills passed. One bill got signed by the governor, SB 10, that absolutely eliminated the bail industry. And the way it did is it said a judge could no longer set a monetary bond. That's it. No monetary bonds. You can't set a monetary bond. People didn't realize the damaging effect that it was going to have on people when if you were arrested, you were going to sit in jail for up to 48 hours before you saw a judge. And if that judge saw you and he didn't want to release you, you're staying in jail. I don't care who you were. And that's just not cool. And it wasn't until our group, and they said the bail industry, the self-serving blank, blank, blanks, they just want to save their industry. Well, no kidding. No kidding, Gavin. You just want to save your job. Yes, I want to save my industry. A, yes, I do this for a living, but B, more importantly, I know what I do for a living. I know that I help people exercise that constitutional right. So they did this, the bill passed, the governor signed it. We gathered enough signatures just like you folks did. People do not understand the ironing board deal. I used to walk by ironing boards. I'd see those ironing boards and I put my eyes, I don't want, you go to Target and you see that ironing board. I don't want to go sign that. What folks on this call need to understand, when you see those ironing boards in California, a good majority of the time, they're people like us that are trying to overturn an ignorant law that has been passed and signed by this legislature and our past few governors, and even the Republican governor, so-called Republican governor that he was. That's what those ironing board people are. I don't walk by them anymore. I go to them and say, what do you need? What do you got? But we, just like you guys faced, you had fake organizations out there trying down, I know in Southern California, trying to do something with Indian tribes. And they had to recall Gavin Newsom using your movement to gather signatures for a whole other thing. And they were throwing the Gavin Newsom things away. That's why when people told me, oh, I signed the recall Newsom, I already signed it. Hey, whoa, where? Where did you sign it? Are you sure it was a real one? You know what? Don't buy into that. Check and see if your thing made it, because a lot of them didn't. They got trash canned. So with that being said, we were able to get enough signatures. Prop 25 went on the ballot. We prevailed. We were able to get the ACLU, the NAACP, and tell me how much time I have. I don't want to go over. Give me the signal when I'm okay.
You're doing fine, Topo. Keep talking. Everybody needs to hear what you have to say, my friend.
We had those groups, the NAACP, the ACLU, and Black Lives Matter. And it's not because we went and dumped a bunch of money in their coffers. They were absolutely against us. What they did, they stopped, they sat, they listened, and they understood. And they went, yeah, getting rid of bail is not going to help people of color, because people of color get arrested too, and they might have a criminal record, and they might have failures to appear. And a judge may look at them, not because of their color, but because of their record and say, well, I'm not letting you out. And if I wasn't there to help them exercise that right, off they went. So we got those groups, and they came and they went on our side of this, and we won. And what did the Democrats turn around and say? What is Bob Hertzberg? And I do not refer to him as Senator Hertzberg. There's another narcissist, and he can hear this and know that I said that. He turns around and what does he say? Oh, they lied. They duped. They tricked the voters of California. You folks on that Democratic Party are the king of trickery, the king of bait and switch, the king of not telling the truth. You folks, that's who, not all of them, because let me tell you, I know some Democratic legislators in this building down here are good people. You know, we may not agree with everything they say, but I agree with more than they say than not. I will tell you, Ken Cooley is a fine assemblyman. And again, he may have done some things that some folks on here don't agree with. I called him the other day and talked to him. I says, hell, why don't you run for governor? You'd be a hell of a governor because he is a good man. But with that being said, I tell you that we won. And what do? They introduced two new bills. One of the bills, and then I'll stop. The bills say, well, two of the bills, they're sister bills. Rob Bonta, who's now going to be our attorney general, who's actually a very nice gentleman. He's from Sacramento. I just don't agree with him politically and philosophically at all. But they introduced a bill that says if we bail somebody out of jail and their charges are dropped, or if their case is dismissed within 60 days, that we have to give them 95% of the insurance premium that they paid us back. Or if the person, we bail them out of jail and they do not fail to appear in court the entire time they're going to court, that we have to give them 95% of their premium back. So on a $50,000 bond, I would get to keep $250. I'm taking a risk for $50,000, making sure that this person goes to court. If I fulfill my obligation, I have to return 95% of the premium.
You're basically an insurance policy.
We are 100% an insurance policy.
And they're wiping out your ability to make a claim on, or to make good on that insurance policy.
They're wiping away our solvency, and they know what they're doing. Again,
Wow.
They're 3D chess players.
Wow. Hey, Topo, one of the things that you keyed on that is near and dear to my heart is the deception in government. And that was something that people don't know is the Secretary of State is the sole author of all of the bills that are put before the voting public.
Propositions.
And what's that?
Propositions.
Propositions.
Of the propositions, yes.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. You're right. I misspoke. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But they're the ones that get to title them. They're the ones that get to write the description about them. And Prop 47 was titled the Safe Streets Initiative, or the Safe Neighborhoods.
Safe schools and safe neighborhoods. It is
Safe schools, safe neighborhoods. And Prop 47 is the root of all evil in our state. I'm sorry, folks. We are there. There you go. We great minds think alike. Mike always says, great minds think alike, even ours sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I want to go what Topo just started to say, which is really important, which is the problem with California government. And Topo,
Can I finish my thought first?
Go ahead.
Topo, the safe schools, the safe neighborhoods proposition is the root of all evil in our state. And it has led to the homeless crisis that we're facing in our state right now, because it reduced the prison population exponentially as the homeless population increased. And you can see the reduction here and the increase here, and it grew in direct proportion with one another. They are correlated, and the Safe Schools, the Safe Neighborhoods Act has led to the worst homeless crisis this nation has ever seen.
Yep. So,
and it's their fault.
Yep. So Dennis Zine just put up there, and if you see my notes, I just wanted, this isn't a bait and switch thing. says AB 109, Prop 47 and 57. AB 109 is where, and not to take away from what you said, Orrin, it's true. Prop 47 and propositions are the title and summary is done by the Attorney General. And I just had a great conversation with Judge Stephen Bailey the other day, and I told him, Judge, and Jeff Reisig from Yolo County, the Attorney General's office should be a nonpartisan office. There should not be a Republican or a Democrat. That should be just like the insurance commissioner should be nonpartisan as well. You're all for all of us, right? So with that being said, AB 109 is where they really started it. And they said, instead of sending all these people to state prison, we'll send them to our county jails. We'll give them the rehabilitation there. We're going to have all this funding because we're going to shut prisons down and we're going to rehabilitate these people in our county jail. Well, you go talk to Scott Jones and ask Sheriff Jones, how much money did you get from AB 109? I got a few ping pong tables and some new benches in there. That's about, we've got to rehabilitate these people. We have to.
Talk to me. I worked in the county jail when AB 109 was imposed on our community in Yolo County, and we had no resources to help these folks. And basically, Topo, what they did is they took people out of a controlled environment where they had access to food, to clothing, to rehabilitation, counseling, to job training, to medical services. And, they released them out onto the street, because once they were transitioned from the state prisons to the county jails were overwhelmed. And then the people in the county jails had to be released on home custody or consent decree, or just flat out early released. And they had no means or ability to fend for themselves. They had already worn out their welcome in their circle of influence with their friends and their family. And now the only thing they have to turn to is a tent on the side of the street. We no longer have homeless camps. We have homeless communities.
Unbelievable.
But let me jump in on something real quick that you said, do a clarification here. First off, Topo, I agree with you, but the reality is the Attorney General is not a nonpartisan office. Okay, it is okay. Also, let's be clear, and I think I want to pulling back to the recall and why we're doing this a little bit, because this discussion going on for quite a while here, is the Secretary of State, along with the Attorney General, determines the correct legal wording for these initiatives. Okay, you started to say that. And the reason I find that very important, that's really the problem with California government. We don't have any opposing forces. I would feel better if at least I knew whether I got agreed with or not, that two people are talking about an issue. And that's the problem that you brought up about Newsom a little bit. Newsom is Jerry Brown, as I say, makes Newsom look like Ronald Reagan some days, right? Because at least he pushed back some. We now have a governor, an attorney general, and a secretary of state, oddly enough, now all picked by the governor. Where do the loyalties lie? We decided not to have an election, and they determine the wording that goes on these propositions that you talk about. So it is trickery, right?
Yeah.
And that's to be clear here, the pillars of government, which are supposed to be separated in the California Constitution, those lines, my friends, have blurred so much that we have no other choice than to recall the governor of California, because that, we the people, is our only recourse.
Yeah. I want to say something else, and this is on topic now, especially with the recall of Gavin Newsom, is that earlier in that video I watched, and my stomach turned. I did not realize how many candidates there was when we went for the recall of Gray Davis. And, I think back, and I was obviously a lot younger when we recalled Gray Davis, and I kind of said to myself the other day, I can't remember exactly everything we did to recall him, but it was literally this much compared to what Gavin Newsom has done to deserve a recall. And I said this, and I did talk to Kevin Faulkner yesterday. I had a long talk with him yesterday, and I just said to him, and I've said it to Kevin Kiley, and I'll continue to say it. Look, bottom line is we need all you guys to get into a room. We need all of you to figure out who's going to be the most viable candidate to go up and put their face, be the one because we've got to convince the voters that if you recall this person, this is who's going to replace them. Because we could have a candidate that we all love that might be way too far right, that the moderate Democrats aren't going to go, well, then if we recall him, that's who we're getting. No, we have to get somebody that is going to be viable, that we can all stand behind. And I pray to the good Lord, there's not more than 5. When I heard that, is that a true number? There was over 100 that ran against.
135 Topo.
But the reality is that only 5 of them got over 1% of the vote. So that number's hyperboled a little bit.
Okay.
And again, Topo, you know, we should probably have Topo back, and I'm serious, Oren, because there's a lot we could discuss here. I don't want to run too long, if you don't mind. We're going to have you on our radio show here too. And by the way, Mike Netter's not my real name, so I'm sorry about 1995, and I probably still owe you a few bucks. I had a few of them.
It's actually Netter's, his last name.
Yeah, exactly. Oren, before we dive off tonight, Robin, would you mind addressing, we have a lot of questions here, again, the calendar and when the next report's coming out. We're 95% assured to be on the ballot, but we get a lot of questions about that all the time. And so I think that's best coming from you as keeper of the calendar and numbers, if you will.
The next official date where the secretary, according to our letter, is April 19th. But in light of it being the end of the initial 6 month plus the extension, they have to have everything finalized by April 29th. So anywhere between the 19th and 29th is when they must report, but there's 2 dates, both April 19th and April 29th, that we're looking toward having a result. Sorry, my
April
dog.
29th date it's a hard date, and it is when the Secretary of State must make public the number of signatures that they've verified.
Correct. And so reality is, okay, I think even the Democrats or Newsom's side, let me be less specific in this case, have accepted the fact there's going to be a recall election. Again, Robin, please correct me if I'm wrong, and everybody does it quite often, is we already have just under 1.2 million verified. Is that correct? About 1,108,000, right? And we have about another 600,000 or so for them to look through, give or take. Is that about correct?
Right. They have determined 1,188,000 are valid, and they will determine the rest between now and the 19th with a hard count on the 29th. We have over 2 million receipts of signatures turned in by our volunteer lead authorized personnel.
And my point is saying that everybody out there, there's a lot going on with election, but the energy we need to put in isn't about whether or not this is going to qualify for the ballot. It is. There's too much meat on the bone, fat on the fire, whatever analogy you want, metaphor you'd like to use. This is getting on the ballot. The question will come when. The question will come, what more importantly for everybody out there as we roll towards the end of tonight, is what are we, the people of California, going to do about it? Spend your energy and focus listening to us, helping us fuel and fund the fight. Spend the energy and focus helping us take back California. Topo, I like what you said earlier. Do not be distracted by the shiny objects. The shiny objects are, yes, what's going to happen with the count. Folks, we've done it. The shiny objects are going to be, what was Newsom's camp going to do about it? We do not control that. We control what we do. And so stay focused as we have in this long fight to take back California on what we can do. And that's what your leadership team is doing here. We're staying focused on what we can do. Do not be distracted by the shiny objects, the slick-haired, white-teeth lion governor that we have in this state, because we, the people, have to stay focused on taking back our state.
Amen. Do we want to move to questions, gentlemen and ladies? Okay, beautiful. So, Mike, if you want to help me out scrolling there, beautiful guy.
I think
Headers.
I think we've tried to answer most of
Did we?
them.
Did we hit most of them?
I think we really hit most of them tonight.
Okay.
We're going to go more in depth again. We know what the calendar is. We have a lot of material to get out to everybody every week, which is why we're doing about 3 hours of this each week. Our next month or so is going to be to go in depth on some of these things. Okay.
All right. You
I
had
think
them
I think
static
we've
pause.
handled most of the questions. No, I think we've handled them. I'm trying to think of something that we haven't. I've been watching the feed the whole show. I just want to say again, tune in Friday night. Stay tuned in with us. We've got
KABC.com.
KABC streaming live on KABC radio 790 over the dial, streaming live on any device near you. It's important you stay in tune. It's important that you get more people to our town hall. Our email system is finally getting back up and running to get.
Hey, Mike, let's take a minute. Let's explain what happened to our email system, our Facebook groups, everything that's happened to kind of censor what we've got going on. We can run long. It's okay. People are patient with us. They want to hear what's happening real time to us because they may be confused. Why haven't I gotten an email?
Let me explain it if I could. Should I do that?
Please.
Okay. First off, before I forget, Melissa Melendez, thank you, Topo, is going to be on our radio show, Senator Melendez, Friday night. So an unconscious lead in there, and I will ask her about 350 because that's a good one that I forgot. What happens to us in the recall, as you know, as I've always said, if things get too big, it ends badly for everybody. And big tech, right or wrong, and mostly wrong in our case, has shut down our Facebook groups. Not our groups, but shut certain people out of the groups. They've shut down our ability some weeks to broadcast these. Big tech like MailChimp and MailChimp, I'm calling you out. You actually shut off our service without a moment's notice. Thank God Dan, our tech man, had the ability to back it up. We went to another mail service. That mail service shut us down. We went to a third one. So now for insurance, what we're doing is we're bringing our mail system back up. To give you an idea of what we've done, in a normal week, we have to email 240,000 people about the radio show and about the town hall and one other things. That means in the average week, our man Dan is trying to send out about 750,000 emails.
Dan Sione.
The Republican Party in California.
Oh, now you just give out my name. Thanks.
Oh, God damn. I'm sorry.
And Dan's address is.
Gavin already knows it.
Right? Okay. But also,
you know what, Dan, if you ain't been vexed yet, I'm sorry, brother.
I'm too far in the hills.
In my driveway, in a tin trailer, doing business all day long, and that's been on the AP press. And anybody can drive by and take me out when they want to. So what the hell, you know what I mean?
I'm too far in the hills for them to come up here.
Anyway.
Plus, I'll throw my beehives on them.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not worried about him being vexed. Yeah, it's whatever the hell it is. I'm gonna get off track here. But the reality,
sorry, Mike, we've derailed. We have derailed
us over here, Mike.
Show more than the high-speed rail has ever been unhinged.
Here's the reality.
Have to start sending coffee to people towards the end of the show.
I know. Here's what we have to explain to everybody. The communication system, what we've set up, the Republican Party in California has about 250,000 emails they've accomplished over about 10 years. In 9 months, we're about equal to them. We've done this with just a very few resources. So the email system is getting back up. We're continuing the radio show, a platform that can't be shut down. We're continuing to keep our Facebook groups up. Many of us have lost a lot of Twitter followers. YouTube has banned a lot of our friends and relatives, but not banned us yet. So scoreboard is, it just doesn't matter. No matter what they try to do and have tried to do, the recall keeps going on. So the email system will be up in the next 5 to 10 days. Our man, Dan, who we've now brought out in the light here, is getting more and more of them out every week. But every week, count on the fact we have a town hall at this same Zoom link. Every week, count on the fact that KABC 790 streaming live, there will be the radio show. And every week you can count on the same people behind the scenes at our website. If you want to email us or call us, we're still here. They can.
One thing,
So
Mike,
many words to say, so little. I'm so sorry, Mike.
I know. What do you want me to say? You got me.
Mike, one more thing. And every week I will always call you netters.
That's right.
Every single week.
Better than
You
others.
asked
All right.
for it, and I want to tell them, and then you interrupted my flow, and you tell me not to interrupt you. So back at you.
All right. We were going to have a video to play tonight, but Tim, damn it, son.
Actually, it's Orange's fault. Orange sprung it on us last minute.
I know. But God bless everybody. I think we're at the end of the tracks, like Gavin Newsom is with his career, and we're going to move forward, get this whole thing done. Not a B video, Sam. No, Sam. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to sign us off unless anybody has anything.
Sign us off quickly.
Sign us off, Cordy.
Going
All right, well,
quick.
we love you
Good night
guys.
now.
We're sending Gavin back to the homeless encampment with all the fecal matter in San Francisco. On that note, have an amazing evening. We love
Topo,
you guys.
thank
See
you
you
for
next
coming
week.
and joining us, brother. Love you, man.
God
See ya,
bless
man.
you guys.
Thank you guys
God
all.
bless you,
God bless
brother.
you.
Thanks, Topo.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Brother.